Hello and welcome back to my FPL channel. I am FPLD and today you are here for my Game Week 33 preview and a recap of what was an absolute disaster class of a bench boost 32. The idea that I thought that Brighton were going to keep a clean sheet against Leicester, who hadn't scored in 9 games, the ideology behind it was amazing. The actual execution of it was absolutely disastrous. Chelsea versus Ipswich, again, the line of thinking behind it, fantastic. The execution of it, absolutely disaster. That just goes to show that occasionally, sometimes luck is with you in FPL and sometimes it's just not your week. I'm here to break it all down and hopefully keep you all entertained. I'm back. My voice is slightly improved. Obviously, that's helped. I haven't drunk for the last couple of days. I'm now in Budapest as well, and I've had a nice day of relaxing in the spa. So without further ado, smash a like on the video, share it with your friends, leave us a comment how you're going in Game Week 32. Obviously, we've still got a couple of games still to go. And yeah, if you haven't already, please smash a sub on the video, sub on the channel as well, and let's jump into it. So, what better place to start than how my week is going at the moment? As you can see, the bench boost has been played. I can't believe I played the bench boost and it's gone this poorly. Of all things, in reality, my entire bench has sucked because I forgot to actually change Sar with Saka. I've actually put Saka on field and Sar on the bench. So I suppose in one respect, you could say that at least one person on my bench is returning. But in reality, if I hadn't been playing bench boost, Sar would have been on the field. So my bench would have read Verbruggen 2 points, Saka 1 point, obviously start on the bench yet again, which is a consistent problem that maybe we didn't really quite understand that was going to be the case. And the fact that they're 3-0 up against Real Madrid, I completely understood why so many players were benched in that Arsenal team. The league is over. Like, Liverpool have won the league. There's no need to panic about that. Congratulations, Liverpool fans. It's frustrating to watch being a United fan, but you've outlasted everyone, and everyone else has just been poor this season. Kukurea 1 point as well. That one probably hurt the most because when I bought in Kukurea, I actively weighed up bringing in 8 Nori or Kukurea, but the fact I've already owned 8 Nori twice this season, the second time I owned him, he hadn't delivered any points. Since that decision was made, 8 Nori has got 6 points last week, game week 31, when Kukurea didn't return either. And this week, it's a 13-point difference. It's a 13-point swing. 8 Nori with a massive 14 points against that horrible Spurs team, and Kukurea with 1. It's one of those things that if I could go back in time and I knew that was going to happen, I would do it. It's just unfortunate. My line of thinking, honestly, Kukurea also had for the 34 fixture, which in reality, 8 Nori's got Leicester in 34. Maybe I've just massively misread the fixtures. I just thought that Chelsea were going to be better. Unfortunately, they've been god-awful. Milinkovic conceding in the 94th minute. I mean, it just summed up the entire bench boost week. Just an absolute disaster class. The entire bench just sucking, combining for a massive 6 points in reality. And then we move on to the actual team. Raya and the Arsenal defence are definitely overrated. They are not as good as everyone's waffling on about. I'm going to take a deeper dive into that a little bit. Guardiola 1 point. I wasn't expecting a Man City clean sheet. I was kind of hoping maybe he'd get an attacking return. He didn't. Burn obviously conceding to that woeful Manchester United side was disappointing. He's on 2 points at the moment with a game to come against Crystal Palace. But again, I'm expecting both teams to score here, so I'm not expecting massive points from either Dan Burn or Munoz, who's currently on 0 after conceding 5 against Man City. In the midfield, Murphy obviously had 1 assist. He was obviously down from his massive haul last week. Gordon was back on the bench. That's going to be causing some problems because obviously Barnes scored a double in this game. Murphy scored as well. Maybe Gordon stays on the bench, but he is one of Eddie Howe's favourites. So I can see a world where potentially Gordon comes in for the midweek game. Salah finally returned, got an assist in that game, 6 points. I mean, he's going to be good, I think, next week in 33 as well. Leicester away, and surely this is the week where Salah gets back onto scoring some goals. Saka, as we talked about, started on the bench 1 point. Palmer, again, yellow card again. He did get an assist, but again, that's just disappointing. Ipswich, I just expected more. I kept him in the team. I brought him back into the team on wildcard because I thought he'd be delivering more points in this over this run of fixtures. But he's now got, I think, 9 or 10 games without a goal, and it's just not good enough, really, if I'm being brutally honest. Mateta, again, didn't make it to 60 minutes, but he has got another game, so hopefully he improves on that 1 point. Isaac is captain. I mean, at the moment, the triple captain Isaac versus my bench boost is 1 point behind my bench boost play. So in reality, I'm actually going to lose out. I would have been better off just playing my triple captain this week because Isaac's going to outscore what my bench boost is going to get. But hopefully he doesn't go completely ham. But yeah, it is one of those things. It's not looking too flash at the moment. I am currently on a green arrow. I'm up to 804, but I'm only 1 point above my safety score. I've got no players in the Bournemouth game versus Fulham tonight. And then I've obviously got 6 players playing in the double-up game. So maybe I'm on track for a grey arrow. Maybe it's going to be a small red. Maybe it's going to be a small green. If Dan Burns scores a goal, it's going to be green. If he doesn't, it's probably going to be a small red. Marmoush obviously got a goal, and he is actually looking like a half-decent shout for triple captain 33 with the kind of form that he's in, and we know that he's probably realistically going to start both games. So again, I don't mind that, but that's how the team's looking. It hasn't been an amazing week at all, and let's get into my early notes. So, my game week 33 early notes, the bench boost 32 targeting Brighton, Forest, and Chelsea fixtures was a massive fail. And a lot of people probably did exactly what I was doing. A lot of people had bench boost active this week because the fixtures look so good on paper. There's every chance that next week my bench boost actually would have outscored what it gets this week. It's just one of those things. Sometimes luck in FPL completely deserts you, and that's the beauty of the game. Some weeks you get exceptionally lucky, like last week where I didn't really know what I was doing because I was on holiday, etc., and I just let the team go, end up with a green arrow inside the top 1K. This week, I could be back outside the top 1K, and I'm playing my bench boost chip. This is the story of FPL. Sometimes you get exceptionally lucky. Sometimes you don't. I know people that have bought in Brendan Johnson last week when Spurs have been god-awful and have been massively rewarded with 2 goals and assists this week. And then other people that have bought in Barnes this week for his 2 goals. I mean, like, the odds of that are just really... sometimes, as I said, you get really lucky, and then other times you just don't get lucky. And this week, for me, was an unlucky week. For others, it was exceptionally lucky. Big assets, again, being benched. There was a common theme again this week, and they included Anthony Gordon, Saka, Savinho, Cunha. Cunha was back, and he was on the bench. Ironically, he came off the bench and scored. Surely he can't be on the bench for too long there. Timber obviously was benched as well. Odegaard, Marino, all these Arsenal assets just getting benched. Highly frustrating for owners, and it is concerning if they stay in the Champions League, if this will continue on. Alanga and Watkins obviously benched as well. Not ideal for anyone that owns those assets. I mean, Watkins is now not looking like a play for Isaac in game week 33 at all, especially if he's getting benched. It looks like Marcus Rashford's actually being preferred there at the moment. Asensio is playing as well. Asensio missed 2 penalties as well, by the way. How unlucky is that? If you had him in and he misses 2 penalties in one game, it's just insane. I actually can't believe when I read that. Like, I was a little bit in shock, to be honest. That is just unfortunate, really. There was also some massive surprise results with Ipswich, Everton, Brentford, all earning some form of table bonus so far this week. So obviously the Glasner assistant manager hasn't paid off so well so far at the moment. Obviously, they looked really good when they were 2-0 up against Man City, but then obviously Glasner only got 2 points from that. And Eddie Howe obviously has just been racking up the wins. So if you went either or, you're probably looking much happier if you went with Howe, which is very different to what happened in 24-26 when the people that went chasing the table bonus were much better off. But David Moyes, hello, Everton versus Nottingham Forest, 1-0 win. The dude just racks up the points on table bonus. David Moyes is like up there with Silva and Glasner as the 3 top managers so far in terms of earning table bonus. And again, it just showed that if you get it right, there are massive points on offer. And look, David Moyes is probably going to top score this week, I would suggest, unless Glasner can get a win at Newcastle. David Moyes is going to do it again for Moyes' boys. Differentials this week paid off massively. Barnes and 8 Nori. As I said, Barnes 15 points, 8 Nori 14. Doucouré for Everton. Like, there were so many big differentials that no one owns, like, that are under 1%, under 2%, and they all deliver big points. All the big owned fantasy assets, in comparison, have underwhelmed. And maybe that is what I was saying in my team selection video. Maybe it's now time to just go differentials, because differentials are making big points. It is risky, but they do, and they are been paying off. Again, only 2 clean sheets this game week. 2 clean sheets. Are you kidding me? 2 clean sheets out of 9 games. That means that 16 teams have conceded out of 18. That's just insane. It's like one of them weeks. I don't know if it's because it's getting towards the end of the season. Players are more tired. Most of the league is starting to people know where they're going to be, and then teams are just being a little bit more careless, a little bit more loose in terms of their defensive capabilities. Maybe bench boost for the rest of the year won't actually be that good unless your defenders are getting attacking returns, because there's just not going to be many clean sheets. Maybe that's what we're about to see. I'm not sure. And then lastly, European competition and the teams in them are causing absolute havoc. The amount of benchings, the amount of rotation, the amount of roulette that we're seeing across all these teams that are in Europe still is a big problem. And maybe it's just a sign that you need to ignore these teams and just pick teams and pick players that are not going to be involved in European competition. Maybe that's the key. I'm not sure, but essentially that is something that I think is definitely we need to be taken into account now. So, Harvey Barnes, who had him? If you had him, congratulations. 15 points from the one game so far. I'd say he's probably hot money to start in the second game now. I can't see any way you can bench Harvey Barnes when he scored 2 goals, or you can bench Jacob Murphy when he's got 2 assists and 2 goals in his last 3 weeks. Again, he got 3 bonus, and he scored these 2 goals from only 0.82 XGI. So that was 0.2 expected goals, 0.02 expected assists. I mean, I just sit there and I just go, a lot of people actually who had Gordon actually sold him for Barnes, like to have that bit of a differential. Unbelievably well if you did that. Like, it's just insanely good. Again, he's actually very cheap as well. He's only 5.9 million. Will he rise to 6? I'm not sure. Anthony Gordon being there makes me think that it is a very short-term player. I would expect Anthony Gordon to come back into the team. But as a differential this week, unbelievably good. 8 Nori again, 14 points he also got as a massive differential that, people have talked about, that people have owned this season. But again, delivering when it matters most. I mean, I would have been so much happier, as I said, if I'd had 8 Nori instead of Kukurea upon reflection of that decision 2 weeks ago. It's just one of those things. Sometimes you get it really right. Sometimes you get it really wrong like I have, and you just got to own it. I'm owning it. It is what it is. But congratulations to anyone that had Harvey Barnes or 8 Nori on field this week. You guys have done amazingly well. So, I need to talk about the Arsenal defence, because I've been saying for a while that they have been poor. And look, when Gabriel went down injured, I wasn't interested in owning another Arsenal asset. I was quite happy to still own Raya, because obviously I'm going to be covering their defence anyway, and here's the cheapest way to cover it. But then we saw on the weekend Timber obviously getting benched. I mean, the defence in general on the weekend was a much weaker defence than what we've seen from Arsenal throughout most of this year. And look, the numbers tell you everything you need to know. The last 3 weeks, William Saliba's played the whole 90 minutes every 3 weeks. He's got 6 points so far. Arsenal have been conceding goals. They've had an expected goals conceded of 2.32 over the last 3 weeks. So they're almost averaging a goal XGC, quite, well, not a goal, but like 0.65, 0.7, whatever. No, 0.75 over those last 3 weeks. That is not ideal. Yes, it's still an elite defense in terms of the numbers, but they are conceding goals, and that is a significant problem. I mean, I don't think I'd want to be playing, and I can't believe that William Saliba's price has actually risen up to 6.5. There's no way that he is worth that much money, and I actually think that it's just better just to ignore him. I think you only need one Arsenal defender. Lots of people this week on Double Game Week 33 are probably going to be looking to triple up on Arsenal. I don't know if that's such a good play. I can't see them keeping 2 clean sheets. Yes, I know they've got Ipswich, and I know they've got Crystal Palace. I just can't see them keeping 2 clean sheets. And in that case, are they really worth the investment as a double up? And I think it just goes to show, like, I've had double ups in defense almost a couple of times this season. Almost every time I played it, it's just failed miserably. So I'm not sure if it's actually worth doing it. In the last 3 weeks, obviously against teams that you can't even expect them to keep out, like Fulham, Brentford, are teams that I wouldn't be expecting them to concede, and Everton, 3 teams in the last 3 weeks that you're like, oh, they probably keep 3 clean sheets there. And they haven't kept 1. It's probably not good enough, and I don't know if it's... I just think that if you are thinking about getting a third Arsenal player in, I maybe would just advise against it. That's just my personal opinion. Again, they might do really well. They might keep 2 clean sheets and just blow my rank out of the water, but I'm kind of hoping it doesn't work that way. But it is one of those things. Again, I'm not sure. So, assistant manager game week 31 to 33. We do have to talk about this because earlier in the season, I did do the David Moyes, Unai Emery, and Glasner against the slot play, and that massively outperformed slot. At the moment, Oliver Glasner versus Eddie Howe is not outperforming the table bonus. The table bonus is not outperforming the non-table bonus. And I'm not sure if that's just because the fixtures are much significantly harder and there's no banker fixtures in terms of like Everton obviously had Leicester and they got that easy win. Unai Emery, he should have had an easy win, but he got that draw. And then Glasner obviously was just a good pick in that third week. Eddie Howe obviously is doing pretty well here, 21 points compared to Glasner 10 after 2 games out of the 3 so far this week. Obviously, Eddie Howe's only got 1 fixture next week. Oliver Glasner's got 2. So, again, if he just left it on them, maybe Glasner does catch him over the next 3 games that he does have. You would expect potentially Glasner to get a result in one of them. But at the moment, let's just have a look. So, obviously, Glasner won in game week 31, 2-1 against Brighton. Got himself 8 points. Howe obviously beat Leicester 3-0, and he got 11 points off that one. And then, obviously, Man United, 4-1 win. Eddie Howe didn't even need to show up for that one. And we do wish him a really speedy recovery. But again, easy win there. Man United just not in very good form at all and probably more worried about Europe at this point. Glasner started off like a house on fire against Man City, but then absolutely collapsed after that. 2-0 up. Everyone was like going, oh, I actually thought at that point that Glasner's AM points would just go absolutely smash anything that we'd seen in game week 24 to 26. But then Man City came back, roaring back from absolutely nowhere, did amazingly well, and here we are. So 10 points to 21 with the game to come against them later this week. I mean, that could significantly change. If Glasner gets a win over Howe, all of a sudden Glasner will be way in front of Eddie Howe. So maybe this will need to be revisited on Thursday. But at the moment, the assistant manager, particularly between these two, is looking better on the one that is higher up the table than the one that is lower. But again, the table bonus only requires that one result, and all of a sudden the tables can be massively flipped. But again, I just wanted to give a quick update on that because of the fact that, I do think Glasner is still a better pick in terms of chasing that table bonus. And I think if you want to get as high as you can, you have to chase that table bonus. And for me, as we saw with David Moyes on the weekend, it can be done. Sometimes you do have to pick the right fixture, though. And earlier on this year as well, when we saw in 24 and 25, the actual better managers were the ones with just the one fixture. So maybe you have to ignore the double fixtures in terms of the table bonus and actually pick the best fixture in terms of what might actually be able to get that table bonus moving forward. So my double game week 33 team currently. So this is how it's lining up. I've got Raya in goal. I've got Milenkovic, Munoz, Guaviol, Palmer, Salah. Saka is captain at the moment, but that could very well become Marmoush. I've got Ismaili Assar, Mateta, and then obviously Isaac. On the bench, I'm telling you, this bench is going to score more than 6.6 week. I'll put money on it right now. Verbruggen probably keep a clean sheet this week, knowing my luck. Jacob Murphy, Byrne, they might actually demolish Aston Villa. If Aston Villa are on a decline, if they've been kicked out of the Champions League, maybe there'll be a low morale, and then all of a sudden it'll be an easy game for Newcastle. I'm not sure. And then Kukurea against Fulham probably scores this week and gets 15 points on my bench. Put money on it right now. The week where I don't play it is probably the week where I go back to over 20 points on my bench. I mean, it's happened 4 times this year where I've had over 20 points. The week I play it, I get 6. It is one of those things. So at the moment, I currently have 7 players doubling versus people that are going to be using their bench boost this week. So I am almost expecting a red arrow this week. Now, I could potentially play my triple captain this week. I'm just not sold on it. If Arsenal somehow got kicked out of the Champions League, maybe I could think about playing on Saka. Maybe I could play on Marmoush. I just think that if City get through to the FA Cup final and they double in game week 36, I like the idea of them playing Southampton. I can't remember the other fixture off the top of my head. That just looks like a way better play in terms of playing a triple captain than this particular week. I don't think this is a bad week per se. It's probably going to be okay. And Marmoush seems to be in pretty good form. And Man City have gone back to scoring goals, but it is one of those things. And again, maybe the bench boost just isn't going to be a very good chip at all. I mean, normally, I think looking back, I've had so many weeks this season where I should have played on a single game week, but I knew there was going to be double game weeks. So I thought, oh yeah, I'll be able to get better points in. Turns out that maybe I should have just played it earlier on. The plan with my team currently is just to roll all my 3 transfers into game week 34, where I will then move Saka, Mateta, and Sarr out at the stage. So at the moment, I've got Mateta earmarked for Cunha. I've got Sarr earmarked for, I'm not sure yet in terms of where he's going or Saka, but it's probably going to be in Buemo. I want people who are going to be playing 90 minutes every week, potentially on penalties as well. If Man United are out of the Europa League, I could even consider bringing back in Bruno Fernandes as well. But it is one of those things that I'll be looking to get players that I just know aren't going to be rotation risk. They're going to be playing. Obviously, my strategy is not too free hit in game week 34, so I'm going to be completely ignoring Aston Villa. I feel like Emery Roulette and the fact that their fixtures in 33, Newcastle at home and Man City, just does not scream very good fixtures for their assets. I can't see any of their defenders keeping a clean sheet in either of those games. And depending on how they go in the Champions League, will make me think that potentially they're just not going to be very good options at all. So that's how my team is looking currently moving into this game week. The 7 doublers, it shouldn't be a horrible down arrow. And I mean, I could get lucky. I mean, Milinkovic has got Tottenham away. You never know. He could get a clean sheet there. Tottenham are just one of them teams at the moment. Obviously, Palmer, I kind of need Palmer to start doing something. And Isaac, hopefully he continues as well. Maybe a lot of people will be selling him this week. I'm not sure. But for me, he'll definitely be staying. I don't think there is actually a better forward in the game at the moment than Isaac when he's on. So for me, that makes a lot of sense. So that brings me to the end of my game week preview. I am slightly on a green arrow at the moment, but I am expecting my bench boost chip to equal a red arrow for me. It is one of those things. Sometimes it goes really well. This chip for me has gone poorly. I would actually argue this has been my worst played chip of the season. In reality, I had thought about it late last week, moving it to game week 36 for a bench boost then, because the fixtures also look pretty good then for the team that I currently had. But I just thought the fixtures on paper this week would go really well. Unfortunately, they didn't. Let me know if you bench boosted. I am intrigued to know if your bench boost went better than mine. Hopefully it did, and hopefully you're on a green arrow this week. I'll join you later in the week. Hopefully I'll have a deadline stream this week. I will be in Thailand for that, so it does depend again on the internet. But hopefully I'll be back with a few more videos this week, because I think the internet in Budapest has been really good, which means you're getting this video. And obviously I'm doing a lot of traveling this week, so you'll just have to bear with me. Make sure you smash a like on the video, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll catch you again soon.